Hello friends, fans, and dairy products of all ages. This is Cheese of Ages here with a bit of a revisit to Wildstar. A friend of mine kept pressing everyone to play it with him, so I was like, okay, it wasn't a terribly bad game when I had access to it during the beta, so I'll go ahead and try playing it again. And pretty much everything I said in my beta impressions video still holds true, which is sad. During the later portions of beta, in which it was still in beta for about like a month or two, and they were doing beta weekends to like stress test servers, there was buggy things to it and things that really needed to be addressed. It was still enough time to address the final little buggy issues and maybe do some additional tweaks. This wasn't actually far late into the beta. It was maybe at the start of the last third of it. There was still room to do things. Nothing I had issues with was fixed. Nothing. Not a single problem I have with the game has improved since that point in the beta and since the game launched. This game has been out long enough to have failed in two previous payment models. One in which it was subscription, but you could pay for a subscription in real money, and you had to buy the game. A model in which you just had to buy the game and you could play for free, but have access to premium features, and similar to freemium games. And then the present form freemium entirely, in which you could just download the game and play the game as much as you want. And the freemium model isn't super restrictive from what I've noticed. Mainly just character slots and some other features. I haven't even looked at the cash shop. I haven't seen any need to focus to the cash shop. I don't even know what's in the cash shop. I haven't noticed anything lacking in the game, which is something I could say that is a lot better than most free-to-play games. It's not really restrictive in the least, but that's just more a product of the times in which free-to-play games have to be less and less restrictive. Pretty much the tightest restriction that free-to-play games can get away with these days is character slots, because there's just so many free-to-play games out there that have very few restrictions. So yeah, this game was out for had several months of beta since I played it, and then enough time out to fail in two previous subscription models to fix the issues. And they're still there. I still periodically launch the game to an add-on crash, in which something that is in the game as a part of the game, a function of the game, crashes and just pops up and extension failure. Might be on my end, but that's freaking strange. Game's maybe not optimized for Windows 10. Maybe some of the issues are an aspect of the fact that the laptop I'm using nowadays isn't super strong. It's somewhat potatoey. But these issues were on my computer that could more than run it on maximum settings. They were still there. So I'm less inclined to believe that it is. I've had some worse issues now that the free-to-play launch has caused the servers to become incredibly unstable, and it's been launched long enough for them to have fixed it. But no. There's periods of the day in which everything is laggy to all hell, which is forgivable, because it happens. They weren't expecting as much of a surge in when the free-to-play launched. They weren't prepared for it, which is not as excusable considering NCSoft has been in the MMO business and the free-to-play market for an enormously long time, so they should have the resources and experience to know this shit. But no, NCSoft is terrible MMO company because they have very unreliable servers. There are situations in which some of the game is incredibly laggy during peak hours, and with some times where there's frame rate drops when there isn't. Usually, frame rates are inconsistent as hell. Apparently, it's not optimized for laptops, which is forgivable. And there were several times in which I tried to load in a character. I'm going to play this character. Fail. Try again, fail. Try again, fail. 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 Okay, I'll try this other character. Succeed immediately. Okay, switch characters. Try to log into the other one. Fail. Next day, succeed. What the fuck? Why is it so fucking unstable? Still, free to play has been out for a while. There's temporary servers and free server moves to adjust this. It should be addressed by now. Why is this game is so fucking glitchy? It's more glitchy than it was in the beta. I'm playing like a stalker, and periodically my resource bar will freeze and not recharge, so for long periods of time I won't be able to use half of my abilities. Periodically. Sometimes it's fixable by draining it all the way. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes I have to log out and log back in to get it to function properly. It's monstrously glitchy. I've had the game crash several times when trying to log in. Not through any thing of the server, just crashes, just boom. Not enough to say it's my computer. It's like 3 times. It's like just spontaneously crashed over the course of a week of play. Not a huge amount of times, but enough to be cumbersome. It's just not stable. It's not very stable. But every positive thing I said in the video that I'll link in the video description still holds true too. It's a reasonably solid, reasonably fun game. The path system is not as good as they advertised, and relatively dull. It's basically, here's what you do in every other RPG, split into many paths. Sometimes just copied and pasted to be the same thing, but slightly different. But essentially, go to this place, pick this up. Picking this thing up will take a little longer than this profession's picking up thing. This profession will tell you to go kill things. This profession will go tell you to go kill things, but you have to press a button while you're doing it. We've got to press to activate your bot to scan something, and then start killing it, and not kill it as fast. You're still doing the same fucking things. There's very few differentiations between this. Like, settlers can put up buff stations. It's nowhere near as glamorous as they make it look. It's like, oh, you can build bars for your friends. That's all well and good until you go to the one spot that you can build a bar for your friend, because that's the only spot you can build it, and it's already built. And if it goes down later for somehow reason, even though it's never going to be down, even if you go to that spot to build that bar, it's going to be the same bar that everyone builds and have the exact same function, appearance, and with no level of customization at all. You can't decide where to put it, you can't decide what it does, you can't decide what it looks like. You just go to points, you dump things you've picked up off the ground in it, and it does the exact same thing everybody else does, doing that, with no option of variation or choice in it at all. I mean, there is some measure of satisfaction of when, on the rare occasion, you go to a point that's not being frequented by players as much, and you just like, oh, here's a settler point. I can jump resources in this and make this entire camp goes from nothing to a full camp because I put settler resources in it, and now there's a camp here. Woo! But it's annoying, and it takes far too long to get your first structure that you can summon. For my tastes, you gotta play for several days to get a campfire that boosts maximum health by 3% and can heal people that stand next to it at a regenerative rate. And the more people that activate it, the more settler experience you get. That's just... You gotta play for several days to get a freaking campfire. Other things you can get are mailboxes, and it takes you a while to get a summonable vendor, which is the most useful one. And crafting tool benches and shit like that. It will eventually be awesome to just be able to deploy anywhere, like a crafting station, a mailbox, and a vendor. Once you've maxed out Settler, you can effectively build a camp anywhere you want. A campfire, a mailbox, a vendor, and a tool container. Once an hour, you can build an entire town once you're in endgame. On the crafting system, while it is nicely designed functionality-wise, there's a measure where you can tweak the item you're building. Oh, it's going to have this secondary stat. Oh, it's going to be built more towards a support role than an assault, or vice versa. It's going to have higher than normal stats or lower than normal stats, and I have these talents and enable me to do these things and craft this way. It's nice. And gameplay. And limitations, however, it's shit. It is one of the worst classifications. The divisions in the crafting system are some of the worst I've ever seen in MMO. Okay. Take this crafting thing. You can make medium armor. And you have a gathering profession. Congratulations. If you have a diverse group of friends that have one of every role, you can only make armor for yourself. Your ally can only make armor for himself. Your other ally can only make armor for himself. You can't make weapons. You can't make other types of armor. You can only make armor for you. You can't make your own weapons. You can't make anything to help your comrades to any great extent. Except with the gathering profession. So yeah, that sucks. And that is stupid. Crafting systems and MMOs are already terrible because you rarely ever actually build things that are good, that are usable, that you would equip. As Wildstar seems to be a little bit better at that, but I'm still in the first 25 levels, so maybe I just haven't hit the point where it's shit yet. But I'm still noticing, oh, I crafted this item. Okay, I can't get a good power core easily, so I can't really craft it to its full potential. But statistically wise, it's this. Oh, I got one. It's built to the maximum specifications of the recipe. Oh, I just got this quest armor that's the same thing. Oh, I just got this quest armor that's better. Oh, I just got this random drop that's much better. It's still in Wildstar. But now in Wildstar you can only make one type of armor, so you're deprived of the niceness of being able to make armor for your friends most of the time. So, one of the things I like most about Lord of the Rings Online, to call out an MMO that I have the most experience with, is that if you were an armor smith, you could make everything but light armor, because that requires you to be a tailor. And if you took the profession to just make armor, you also had the profession to make armor, but you didn't have the thing to get the materials to make armor, the cloth armor yourself. You had mining for making metal armors, and you had the professions to make all types of armor, but you needed somebody to provide you with leathers to make armor that uses leathers. So you could make heavy armor. And if you were a class that used that, yeah, you can make armor for yourself and for any other class that uses heavy armor. And if an ally is like, oh, I have these hides, here, make me some armor, you could make your friend armor. If you were somebody that chose an armor making crafting profession, you could make armor for everybody. It's like, oh, random person that I am forming a party with, you want some armor? Oh, I can make better armor than what you've got. Here you go. and then like people were walking around with armor with your name on it, and it's like, oh, this is armor from Akenvalen. And like, if you wielded armor, an entire suit you forged yourself, and that comrade over there is wearing armor that is forged solely by you. And like same thing with weaponsmiths. Like, aha, I can make swords and weapons of all classifications that people will use to slay epic monsters and shit. And Wildstar, I made my armor. Oh, I happen to like party with somebody that uses my type of armor. Yay! Most of the time, you're the only one in your well-balanced set of people that uses that kind of armor, because you can only make one kind. It's annoying. Not to mention that early on, there's not really any good spots to grind the materials out. It's just frustrating. Later in the game, when I get to other zones, there'll be more spots to farm the materials, but it's just, I don't like the crafting system. I find the cooking system to be a bit enjoyable, where you have to like find out the combination of components to make specialized variations of a recipe, and then from that point on, it's easier to make that thing. Sort of like playing a game of Battleship. It's like, okay, you have this. No matter what, you'll make this. So here now you invest like a little bit of cash to try and make these more powerful subvariants. This subvariant does this thing with armor, or this subvariant thing does this thing with penetrating deflect chance. You know, add these components to move it towards a vector on the grid, and find the spot you need to hit on the grid to make it be that. And then once you hit that spot, it's fairly large. It becomes much easier to hit it in the future because you can see the spot you need to hit, and it's actually bigger than it was when you were trying to find it. So I enjoy that cooking aspect, where it's more than just I make an item, oh boop doo. It's like I make an item and I'm going to like boop 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 and put some components in. It loses that unique aspect when you've just found the, variation you want to make, because you just know, I need to get it there, press this button twice, yippee-doo. It tried. The cooking system is better than the regular crafting system. They did a lot of details, and it's nice in execution and gameplay. The classifications of what you can craft are complete shit. But yeah, anyway. Overall, the game is nice. Has a lot of positive things about it. It's a good MMO. A really nice thing about it is that you can develop a series of different builds. There's like subtle variations. There's a lot of customizations to what your combat capabilities are. You get a wide array of abilities that do a wide variety of things, and then you get another set that's like kind of assault or support for like a stalker, for example. They're similar, but this has different things, and this has some different things, and then there's utility, which does this other set of things, and then you can customize yourself to be like CC oriented, building up your defenses oriented, sheer burst damage oriented, mobility oriented, combinations of any of those things. There's augmentations in which you slot like, okay, I want these abilities to be upgraded. But like I'll upgrade these later, and then there's like slots where you can give yourself slight tweaks, sort of like masteries in League of Legends, where you can like, okay, I want a little bit more cooldown reduction in lifesteal, blah 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 blah. So you can just subtly tweak everything about your character and like have little differences and a lot of customization there. I really like that. It's a very good MMO. But I'd recommend waiting a while until it's fucking stable, because it is glitchy and unstable as fuck, and they have apparently not fixed a single thing since the beta. They probably won't fix any of those like nagging glitches, but with the stability fixed, which will probably be by next month or so, go ahead and play it next month. It's really good. It's not an all be all. It's far from the best MMO. If you're like crafting systems, it's not going to be the best crafting system. in the world, but if you like nice combat with a lot of variety and customization, it's nice. If you're one of those people that like crafting shit of various kinds with a lot of variety and building things for people, not all that good, really. The crafting system could use a lot of work. It's not terrible, but it's not exactly good. Overall, though, the game is very, very nice. A lot of combat customization and things. Presentation Saturday morning cartoon style is really nice. That level up thing where it's like says you're freaking awesome and like heavy metal guitar riff like level up is still there, and it's kind of tongue in cheek and everything. It would be really improved by having voice acting on like quest givers like some other MMOs do, but that's not really something I can hold against it. It just kind of breaks the immersion a little bit when there's barely any quest dialogue. And even it's just the text, like, okay, I enter this quest text, one paragraph, barely tells you anything. Okay, no real information. There's pretty much no reason to look at the quest dialogue. You know, it's like, okay, I take the quest. I don't even fucking care. Like, okay, I gotta do this. There's pretty much no worthwhile text. And when by quest givers, it's basically they might as well not even be there. It's kind of bad, but it's still reasonably good. It's a solid MMO, and it does a lot of good things. A lot of things are done very well. But yeah, this will be Cheese of Ages signing off. Have yourself a nice day.